malignancy of the oral cavity. So today we'll learn something about the malignancy of oral cavity, like etiology of oral malignancy, clinical presentations of oral cancer, and some of the investigations required for oral cancers. Malignancy of oral cavity, it is among the common cancers worldwide, accounting to the 3 to 4% of all the cancers, and it is common in Southeast Asia, especially in India. It accounts for over 30% of all the cancers in this country, especially in men. So this specific higher prevalence in India is more likely to be the chewing habits in Indian population. In oral malignancies, 96% are carcinomas and only 4% of sarcomas. And among carcinomas, 90% are squamous cell carcinoma and rest 10% of other type of carcinomas. The intensity of oral malignancy can be known by the fact that approximately 10,000 people die every year because of oral cancer. That means nearly one death per hour is because of the oral cancers. And in spite of the development of the treatment facilities for oral malignancies, the 5-year survival rate is still less than 50%. That is one sad thing. What are the sites of oral malignancies? Lips, buccal mucosa, oral tongue, that is anterior two-thirds of the tongue, hard palate, upper and lower alveolar ridges, floor of the mouth, and retromolar trigone. Even though we cannot completely include lip in the oral cavity, in general, when we discuss malignancies of the oral cavity, we call it as lip and oral cavity, proper lip and oral cavity. The etiology of oral cancers. The tobacco, smoking, and chewing is one of the most common reported etiological factor for oral cancers, and alcohol. So, in addition to its own effect, the combined effect of alcohol and tobacco is worse because some of the carcinogens which generally do not dissolve in saliva, they get dissolved in alcohol and absorbed by the oral mucosa, leading to carcinogenesis. The age group of most of the oral cancer patients is more than 40%, but there are cases where the oral cancers are reported even in younger age. It is common in male and it is common in black population than the white race. And sunlight is supposed to be one of the risk factor for lip malignancy, especially that of the upper lip. And this virus, human papilloma virus, which is one of the common isolated etiological factor in oropharyngeal malignancy, is also been found as a causative factor in some of the oral cancers. And dietary deficiencies of vitamins like vitamin B2, B12, and carotenoids are found in many patients with oral cancers. And oral malignancies, they arise from some of the pre-malignant lesions like leukoplakia, erythroplakia, and submucous fibrosis. And certain known risk factors for the pre-malignant and as well as the oral cancers are smoking. We remember as a 6S: smoking, sepsis, spices, spirit, sharp tooth, and syphilis. And along with that, one more S is added, that is the syndrome, Patterson Bronchioli syndrome or Plummer-Vinson syndrome, where we find a post-record malignancies, and these patients are also at a risk of developing oral cancers. Now, the morphology of oral malignancies. They may present as just ulcers, ulcers are defined as a discontinuity of the mucosa, or it may be ulceroproliferative. There will be growth of the tissue surrounding an ulcer. It may be just a proliferative or exophytic, like seen in this picture, or it may be an infiltrative lesion where the tumor grows into the tissues. And one interesting and important consideration in oral malignancy is a retromolar trigone. So it is a hidden area where the chance of malignancy can be missed. So it is also called a surgeon's graveyard because it is a hidden area where a subtle examination may lead to missing of a lesion in the retromolar trigone. So retromolar area, it lies posterior to the third molar teeth, lower, specifically the lower third molar teeth, on the ascending ramus of the mandible, and at the boundaries of the base is the lower third molar tooth, apex at the maxillary tuberosity, medially it is the anterior tonsillar pillar, and laterally the gingivobuccal sulcus. So any patients with complaints or clinical features suggestive of oral malignancies, a retromolar trigone need to be specifically examined. Microscopy of oral malignancies, most, as I already mentioned, most of them are squamous cell carcinoma. There is a variety of squamous cell carcinoma, a well differentiated type of squamous cell carcinoma, that is verrucous carcinoma, and this lesion is common over the lip and the buccal mucosa. And other types of carcinomas are adenocystic and adenocarcinomas, and you may also find mucosal melanoma in the oral cavity. Coming to the spread of oral cancers, the oral lesions can have multiple primaries, like one person having a lip malignancy as well as a tongue malignancy. So because there is one entity called field cancerization where the carcinogen can affect multiple sites. Local spread can occur from one side to the adjacent site, also deeper into the submucosa, muscle, fat, skin, and the bones like maxilla and mandible, and to the adjacent regions like a posterior most lesion in the oral cavity can spread to the oropharynx. Lymphatic spreads into the cervical lymph nodes. That depends on the site and the size of lesion. Early lesions unlikely to have a lymphatic spread, though it is still possible, and the drainage depending on the site. Generally, the anterior lesion they drain into the submental and the submandibular lymph nodes, and the posterior lesions drain into the level 2 lymph node, that is the upper cervical lymph nodes. And most commonly it is ipsilateral. However, bilateral or contralateral nodal involvement is also seen in some cases, especially in oral tongue malignancy, where the chance of having bilateral lymph node metastasis is high. Distant metastasis in a oral cancer is very rare because generally they present in an early stage, but metastasis to lungs, liver, or bone can be seen. The clinical presentation of oral cancer depending on the site and the stage. Initial lesions may be asymptomatic or they may present with some vague symptoms like burning sensation in the mouth, discomfort, and numbness over the site of the lesion. But later lesions can present with the loosening of the teeth or ill-fitting dentures if the patient is wearing a denture, increases salivation, difficulty in deglutition in the form of difficulty in mastication, dysphagia, and odynophagia. Sometimes they may present with the obvious mass in the oral cavity. Sometimes a referred otalgia can be seen, especially in case of posterior laced lesion. They may present with the cheek swelling or ulceration when the tumor extends to the skin, and rarely present only with the neck swelling without having any particular complaint related to the oral cavity, but with the presentation of a lymphatic or lymph node metastasis. The examination, what all we need to see when we examine a patient with oral cancer: site and extent of the growth, associated any pre-malignant lesions like leukoplakia, erythroplakia, or oral submucous fibrosis, involvement of the bone like mandible and maxilla. How to look? Check for thickening of the periosteum, if the bone is tender or if the teeth are loose. Check for the tongue movement specifically, because sometimes even a obviously small lesion can have a deeper involvement leading to restricted tongue movement when we need to suspect involvement of the deeper tongue muscles. Check for the cervical lymph node in any patients with the oral lesion. Now, what are the investigations required for oral cancer patients? Important thing that we have to prove that it is a cancer, and we need a histopathological diagnosis. For that, we need to take a small bit of tissue that is called biopsy. We can take a punch biopsy or a wedge biopsy from the margin of the growth. Generally, we take biopsy from the margin of the growth, not from the center of the growth. If there is a lymph node, get a FNAC done to check if there is a metastatic deposits in the lymph nodes. To evaluate the local spread, we need a X-ray of the mandible or a orthopantomogram. This is a orthopantomogram or panoramic radiogram, where we can see erosion of the mandible. We can get a CT scan of the neck to know the local spread as well as the lymph node metastasis. Ultrasonography of the neck helps to detect any non-palpable cervical lymph nodes. And to evaluate the metastatic, we need a X-ray chest to see if there is any pulmonary lesion, or for distant metastasis. Nowadays, PET scan is a very good investigation, that is a positron emission tomography scan or a PET CT, which can evaluate a distant metastasis thoroughly. That's about the etiology, clinical features, and investigations of oral malignancies. We'll come out with the second part with the staging and management of oral cancer.